Coming up on Chicago Bears now, after hiring running backs coach Eric Stoodsville, who spent the last several years with the Miami Dolphins, could the Bears make a splash trade? This has started to circulate around social media. I want to shout out Nick Whalen, who I saw brought this up. He could be popping on the show soon as well. That'll be a fun collab. But we'll tell you who that player is in just a second. But guys, we are knocking on the door of 157,000 subscribers. If you want to help us get there, hit that subscribe button. We're covering the latest news, rumors, trade buzz, draft, free agency, taking your questions. We go live twice a week. Let's make it happen. Hit that subscribe button on today's show. All right, let's talk about Devon Achane, the running back from the Miami Dolphins. Could the Bears trade for him after hiring his running backs coach throughout the first 3 years of his career? My name is Harrison Graham. Let's discuss it here on today's show. Devon Achane has become one of the best running backs in the league. In a limited role as a rookie, only 103 carries, averaged almost 8 yards a carry, had 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. Obviously wasn't going to keep up that pace on larger volume. Was at about 4.5 yards per carry. His second year, almost 1,000 yards. And then last year, as the full-time starter for the Dolphins, had the best year of his career. Over 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns rushing. As a receiving back, he's been a big threat in that regard. The last 2 years, he's basically averaged over 70 catches and over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons. I would argue he's one of the 3 or 4 most dynamic running backs in the NFL. Like, he's probably not quite Jahmyr Gibbs, but he's got that skill set where if he's got space, he can go, whether it's as a runner, whether it's as a receiver. And look, I have pounded the table like, hey, just keep DeAndre Swift. It's under $9 million. He had a good year. I think he'd have another good year next year. That being said, Devon Achane in this offense, only 24 years old, he would be absolutely unbelievable. And we have to remember who the head coach and I would say the biggest voice in this franchise is. It's Ben Johnson. He's an offensive guy, and he's looking to add playmakers, even though the Bears already have a lot of those. I would not be shocked if he made a swing for a guy like Devon Achane to pair with Kyle Monangai, and that's your duo moving forward for the foreseeable future with the Chicago Bears. I want to ask you guys, should the Bears trade for Devon Achane? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Obviously, cost is going to factor in here, but I think he's a hell of a player. So give me your thoughts down in the comment section below. If the price is right, I would be on board. I would be on board. Now, I've said it. I don't want to force the issue. And, like when the Travis Etienne rumor started, I'm like, why would I cut DeAndre Swift to pay Travis Etienne even more money when DeAndre Swift is just as good, if not better? Well, the difference here is that Devon Achane is clearly better than DeAndre Swift. This is a chart that's been going around recently, and the horizontal axis is the yards after contact per rush. You look at Devon Achane, he's over 4 yards per carry after contact, and for a smaller running back, he has excellent contact balance. The vertical line is tackles avoided per carry. He's good in that regard, but not great. He's middle of the pack, but still above average. He's still higher than, I'd say he's top third still compared to all the running backs on there. He's highlighted or circled there in kind of that teal color. DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai, similar. A little misleading with Monangai. He's obviously a better running back after contact, but he got a lot of those like goal line carries, so that lowered his number there. But it does go to show, while Swift had a great year and Monangai is a good player, there is levels to this, as the kids like to say. Devon Achane is a clear top 10, if not top 5 or 6 overall running back in the National Football League. And remember, I'm comfortable with Swift and his price tag. I thought he had a great year, and I give him a lot of credit. They do save $7.5 million if they were to cut or to trade him. And who knows, maybe you could find a trade partner. You wouldn't get a lot in draft comp, but maybe a pick swap or a late-round pick or something like that. Whereas if you trade for Devon Achane, you only take on a $5.8 million cap hit. And a big reason why I've been saying, let's just keep Swift. Let's not force the issue with Etienne or Breece Hall. Or those guys are going to cost more in free agency. Achane is not only better than those players, but his short-term cap hit is less than DeAndre Swift's, whereas a player like Etienne would be more, and he's not as good as Swift. Achane's better than Swift. Like that's kind of the difference here. The Bears would actually save money, at least for 2026, if you were to cut or trade Swift and bring on De'Von Achane. Now, you would extend him, obviously, but he's only 24 years old. You're getting 3 years younger at the position, and the first year and a half of his career, he wasn't a full-time starter. So there's a lot of tread on those tires. This is not a guy that's been run into the ground by the Miami Dolphins. You put a guy like this with an offensive mind like Ben Johnson, you got his running backs coach. I mean, could he have 1,500 yards? I don't know. I mean, Monungai's still going to have carries, but the explosive nature he would bring you. Swift is good in space, but he doesn't break a lot of those shoestring tackles. Achane does. Like, that's kind of the difference between these two runners, and he's 3 years younger. So, again, the cost is important, and we'll talk about that later in the video, but I do get excited thinking about a guy like De'Von Achane if you were to add him into this offense. All right, we'll talk a little about it a little bit more, but first, the big game. It's almost here. PrizePicks. Get started today. There's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. On PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose FlexPlay, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Also, PrizePicks is offering a big game max discount, half a passing yard for Drake May. You obviously select the more on that. You're halfway home to a two-player lineup. You can go up to 6 players, but I like going 2-player lineups with these max discounts because you only got to hit on one more player, which is pretty freaking awesome. Download the PrizePicks app today. Take advantage of that discount. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. Just got to play for $5. You get an additional $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. So the two big questions here when it comes to the potential of trading for De'Von Achane. Number one, is Miami willing to trade him? They're kind of in a transition. New GM, new head coach. I don't know. Contract year for him. Do they want to commit to him long term? Like, to me, playing this year out doesn't make a lot of sense. He's either your guy long term and you pay him, or, maybe you dangle him for a trade. And number two, from a Bears perspective, what would a trade cost? How much would you have to give up in draft capital to bring on De'Von Achane? We'll talk about that part of it here in just a second, but let's talk about the Dolphins angle first. The reason I think this could happen is you do have a new regime. So how does Jeff Hafley feel about him? Bobby Sloak was on the coaching staff, so I'm sure he has strong opinions on Achane. He's now the play caller. New GM. You've got the Tua dilemma in contract hovering over this franchise. If they move off of him, that's a major cap hit. You also want to pay Achane in the process. So, the first big decision they have to make is Tua. Is he their guy this year? If he's not, do they keep him as the backup? Do they trade him? Do they cut him? Do they post you one, cut him? How do you handle Tua Tagovailoa? That's the first decision they have to make. And depending on what they do there from a financial standpoint, you would think that would directly impact what they want to do with the De'Von Achane moving forward. So do they want to pay up for him? Because with the season he had last year, I think the floor for him on an extension is probably $12 million a year. A guy like Kyron Williams got 3 for $33 last offseason. I think James Cook got $12 million per year. Well, the cap's going up $25+ million. So I think you're getting at least James Cook money if you are De'Von Achane. They're similar tier player, not exact carbon copy of players. They're different players. But I think you're getting at least that and maybe more. Does Miami want to do that with where they're at right now? Now, maybe they bring in a Malik Willis and they run this just dynamic kind of spread power attack rushing offense that would be intriguing. But I could also see them being willing to pivot off of De'Von Achane instead of paying him a big number, which he's going to be owed in the next 12 to 18 months, if not this offseason. So let's get to the Bears side of it. What would Chicago be willing to offer? How bad would Ben Johnson like to bring this guy on board? I'm sure one of the early questions to Eric Stootsville is like, hey, what's the deal with Achane? Is he worth trading for? Is that a guy we should look at? Because, if I'm Ben Johnson, I'd look at Devon Achane and his skill set and be like, okay, he may not quite be Jahmyr Gibbs, but there's a lot of overlap in that skill set. There's a lot of tread on those tires. He could bring an explosive, dynamic nature to the position that we get a little bit out of with Swift, but not to this level and not for as many years to come, whereas Swift, after this year, is going to be 28, 29 years old. Achane is 24. Like that's a big difference. So 3 trade ideas for Devon Achane. 3rd round pick, and then DeAndre Swift, take it or leave it. If they don't want Swift, that's fine as well. But DeAndre Swift, is not going to cost much to bring on board with the cap for Miami. Gives them a starting caliber running back for 2026. If they want to keep him long-term, great. If not, that at least gives them a solid player for this year to replace Achane with. So a 3rd and Swift. Trade idea number 2. Achane to the Bears, a 3rd this year and a 6th next year. Like, if you don't want Swift, hey, we'll give you another draft pick. Day 3 pick next year. Okay. Trade idea number 3. Devon Achane and a 5th to the Bears for a 2nd. If I'm trading a 2nd, I think I need something back. I like Achane, but you're going to have to extend him as well. So a 2nd-round pick and a notable contract, give me a 5th back. That's probably what I'd say. If it's just a 2nd, I'd have to think long and hard. Certainly not going to do a 1st for a running back. I like Achane, but not that much. But I do like him, and the thought of him in this offense does get me pretty darn excited. So to recycle through these trades, Achane for Swift and a 3rd, that's trade number 1. Achane for a 3rd and a 6th, that's trade number 2, 6 being next year. And then Achane and a 5th to Chicago for a 2nd to Miami. Which trade do you like the best? 1, 2, or 3? Let me know down in the comment section below. Final thoughts. I want to make it crystal clear because I've said this throughout the offseason, and I'm not just changing my mind all of a sudden. I am perfectly content with DeAndre Swift. He's not an elite player. He never will be. He's a good back, though. He proved that this year in a good system with good coaching. He can be a well above average starting NFL running back. And the combination with him and Monangai works. 2nd year in the system. I think that can be a more than competent pairing for 2026. That being said, there's no reason to not at least explore this. Like, Devon Achane would be a clear upgrade. He's got a longer runway. You could still, get a lot of productive years out of him because Monangai will get some carries. So I think you could have him at the top of his game for 3-4 years. Like, I would give Achane a 3 or 4 year extension and be comfortable with it. So, I'm curious to see if the Bears go down this route and explore this. I have no idea if Miami's willing to part ways with them, but they're kind of in a weird spot as a franchise, so it wouldn't completely shock me either. So we'll have to wait and see, but this was a topic I saw going around. I was like, you know what? It's actually pretty interesting. So curious to see your thoughts when I read through the comment section. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Appreciate all of you for making it to the end of the video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and as always, bear down.